How the Vikings Survive the Coldest Nights of the Year. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on where and when you listen to this story. It gives us a lot of hope to continue working. Chapter 1. The Warmth of the Longhouse. You find yourself standing before a massive wooden door, carved with intricate patterns of wolves and ravens. The cold Norwegian wind whispers around you, but warmth radiates from within the longhouse. You push open the heavy oak door and step into another world. The first thing that touches your senses is the gentle crackling of the long fire. It runs down the center of the hall like a river of golden light. The flames dance softly, casting warm shadows on the wooden walls. You can hear the quiet murmur of voices, the soft shuffle of wool-clad feet, and the distant sound of snow falling gently on the turf roof above. You breathe in deeply. The air is rich with the scent of burning birchwood, mixed with the comforting aroma of barley porridge, simmering slowly in iron cauldrons. There's a hint of dried fish and the earthy smell of woolen cloth, dyed with madder root and woad. These are the sense of survival, the sense of home. The longhouse stretches before you, nearly 100 feet long. Its walls are made of sturdy oak timber, fitted together with the skill of master craftsmen. The spaces between the logs are filled with clay and moss, creating a barrier against the fierce Arctic winds. Above your head, the wooden beams are carved with protective runes, ancient symbols that have watched over families for generations. You notice how the Vikings have arranged their living space. The center of the longhouse is reserved for the fire, the heart of their winter survival. On either side, raised wooden platforms serve as sleeping areas, covered with thick furs and woolen blankets. Bear skins, wolf pelts, and seal hides create layers of warmth. Each family has their own section, marked by carved wooden posts. A gentle hand touches your shoulder. An elderly woman, her silver hair braided with small bronze beads, gestures for you to sit on a wooden bench. Her name is Astrid, and she has survived 47 winters in this harsh land. Her eyes are kind, weathered by years of watching the northern lights dance across the sky. "Come," she says softly. "Let me show you how we prepare for the longest nights." You settle onto the smooth wooden bench, worn soft by countless hands. The fire crackles nearby, sending waves of warmth across your face. Astrid moves with practiced grace, her movements slow and deliberate, conserving energy for the long winter ahead. She shows you bundles of dried herbs, hanging from the wooden beams, juniper berries for cleansing the air, wild thyme for its gentle, calming scent, and meadowsweet, which the Vikings call "the plants teach us patience," Astrid whispers. "They sleep through winter, gathering strength for spring, just as we must do." You watch as she prepares the evening meal, moving slowly, mindfully. She adds barley to the iron pot. The grain was grown in the short growing season, when the midnight sun allowed crops to flourish. Barley is hardy, able to ripen in just 60 days, making it perfect for the harsh Nordic climate. Into the pot goes dried cod, caught during the autumn fishing season. The fish were split and dried on wooden racks, called hjell, allowing them to last through the darkest months. The protein will help maintain body heat, essential for surviving temperatures that can drop to -40 degrees. Steam rises from the pot, carrying the rich aroma of the simple stew. You breathe deeply, feeling the warmth fill your lungs. The Vikings learned long ago that warm food and drink were essential for maintaining core body temperature during the brutal Arctic nights. Astrid ladles the stew into wooden bowls, The bowls are carved from birch wood, smooth and warm to the touch. She hands you a bowl, and you cup it in your hands. Feeling the heat seep through your palms, the stew tastes of the sea, of summer grasses, of survival and comfort. As you eat, you notice the other families, quietly preparing for sleep. Children are wrapped in soft wool tunics, dyed with lichen and tree bark, creating muted colors of brown, gray, and deep blue, the colors of winter, the colors of the northern landscape. The women spin wool by the firelight, their drop spindles turning slowly, creating thread that will become warm clothing. The spinning wheels make a soft, rhythmic sound, like a lullaby. The wool comes from hardy Nordic sheep, whose thick fleeces can withstand the harshest weather. You learn that these sheep were brought to Norway by the Vikings' ancestors over 1,000 years ago. The animals developed thick, double-layered coats. The outer layer repels water, while the inner layer traps warm air. The Vikings learned to mimic this, creating layered clothing systems that kept them warm in the coldest conditions. An old man, his beard white as fresh snow, sits carving near the fire. His hands move slowly, shaping a wooden spoon from a piece of birch. The wood is pale and smooth, perfect for eating utensils. Birch grows abundantly in the northern forests, and its wood doesn't impart any taste to food. The carving is meditative, each cut deliberate and careful. The man's name is Eric, and he has made thousands of spoons, bowls, and tools during his long life. His fingers are gnarled from years of work, but his movements are still precise, practiced. In winter, Eric says quietly, "We make what we need for summer. In summer, we prepare for winter." This is the way of survival. You watch his hands, mesmerized by the gentle scraping of the knife against the pale wood. Wood shavings curl away, falling like tiny scrolls to the floor. The sound is soft, rhythmic, almost musical. The fire begins to burn lower, casting longer shadows. The heat radiates outward, warming your face and hands. But you can feel the cold pressing against the walls, waiting outside. The Vikings built their longhouses with the entrance facing away from the prevailing winds. Another small but crucial detail in their long battle against the cold. Children are settling into their sleeping areas, wrapped in layers of wool and fur. Their mothers sing soft lullabies, ancient songs about the sun's return, about spring flowers, about the promise of warmth. The melodies are simple, haunting, designed to calm both singer and listener. You notice how the Vikings position their beds. The sleeping platforms are raised, allowing warm air to circulate beneath. They place the youngest children closest to the fire, where the warmth is strongest. The elderly, whose bodies struggle to generate heat, are also given the warmest spots. Animal skins are arranged in specific layers, reindeer hides against the wooden platform for insulation from the cold wood. Then sheepskins for softness and warmth. Finally, wolf or bear pelts on top for maximum heat retention. Each skin was carefully prepared, tanned with oak bark, and softened with animal fat. The process of preparing these skins took months of careful work. The hides were scraped clean, soaked in solutions of oak bark and water, then worked by hand until they became soft and pliable. This work was done during the autumn months, when the temperature was still mild enough for outdoor labor. A young mother, her baby sleeping against her chest, shows you how she wraps her child. The baby is covered first in a soft wool tunic, then wrapped in ratted fur, finally enclosed in a thick reindeer hide. The fur traps warm air, creating a cocoon of heat around the tiny body. The animals teach us, she whispers. They know how to stay warm. We watch and we learn. You settle back against the wooden wall, feeling the warmth of the fire on your face. The sounds of the longhouse are becoming softer, more distant. The quiet conversations, the gentle movement of people preparing for sleep, the soft crackling of the dying fire. Outside, you can hear the wind moving through the bare branches of the surrounding birch trees. But inside, there is only warmth and safety and the ancient rhythm of people surviving. Together, your eyes grow heavy as you watch the flames dance in the stone-lined hearth. The Vikings learned that survival depends not just on individual strength, but on the warmth of community, on sharing resources, on caring for each other through the darkest nights. The fire burns lower, casting a golden glow across the peaceful faces of the sleeping families. Children dream of spring, of wildflowers, of the return of the sun. Adults rest, knowing that tomorrow will bring new challenges, but also new opportunities to survive and thrive. You feel your breathing becoming slower, deeper. The warmth of the longhouse wraps around you like a protective embrace. The ancient walls have sheltered generations of families through countless winters, and they will shelter you tonight. Your eyelids grow heavy, and the gentle sounds of the sleeping longhouse fade into whispers. The fire glows softly, like a star in the peaceful darkness. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 2. The sacred ritual of the winter fire. You wake slowly to the gentle sound of someone feeding the fire. The flames have burned low during the night, but now they dance higher, casting warm light across the wooden walls. The longhouse is quiet, most of the families still sleeping peacefully. An elderly man moves carefully between the sleeping forms. His name is Olaf, and he is the firekeeper, one of the most important roles in the Viking community. His responsibility is to ensure that the sacred fire never dies, even during the coldest nights. You watch as he carefully selects each piece of wood. Birch burns hot and clean, perfect for cooking. Oak burns slowly, providing steady heat. Pine creates aromatic smoke that helps preserve food and keeps insects away. Each wood has its purpose, its place, in the careful balance of winter survival. Olaf notices you watching and gestures quietly for you to join him. You rise carefully, stepping softly over the sleeping forms. The wooden floor is smooth beneath your feet, worn by generations of careful footsteps. Come, he whispers. I will show you the old ways, the sacred ways of keeping the fire alive. You kneel beside him, feeling the warmth radiating from the glowing coals. The fire pit is lined with carefully chosen stones, river stones that won't crack from the intense heat. The Vikings learned through trial and error which stones could withstand the thermal expansion and contraction. Olaf shows you how to arrange the kindling. Small pieces of birch bark, dry as paper and extremely flammable. The bark contains oils that ignite easily, even in damp conditions. Above the bark, thin twigs of different sizes, arranged to allow airflow but close enough to catch the flames. Fire is alive, Olaf whispers. It needs to breathe, just like us. Give it air and it will give you warmth. Smother it and it dies. You watch his weathered hands as he gently blows on the glowing coals. The flames respond, growing brighter, reaching upward toward the larger pieces of prepared wood. The process is meditative, requiring patience and deep understanding of fire's nature. The Vikings developed sophisticated techniques for fire management. They learned to bank fires, covering them with ash to slow the burning during the long winter nights. This allowed a single fire to burn for days with minimal attention, conserving both wood and human energy. As the fire grows stronger, the longhouse begins to warm. You can feel the heat penetrating deeper into the wooden structure. The walls themselves become warm, radiating heat throughout the building. This thermal mass effect helps maintain temperature, even as the outside air grows colder. Olaf shows you bundles of prepared wood stacked carefully along the walls. The wood was cut during the summer months when the days were long and the weather favorable. Each piece was split and stacked to allow air circulation, ensuring complete drying before the first snows. Green wood makes cold smoke, Olaf explains. Dry wood makes warm flames. The preparation is as important as the burning. You notice how the Vikings conserve their fuel. The fire is kept just large enough to heat the space and cook food, but not so large as to waste precious wood. Every log, every branch, every piece of kindling is precious during the long winter months. The smoke from the fire rises slowly through an opening in the roof. The hole is covered with a wooden panel that can be adjusted to control the draft. Too much air and the fire burns too quickly. Too little and smoke fills the longhouse. The balance requires constant attention and deep knowledge as the morning light begins to filter through the small windows covered with thin, translucent sheets of scraped animal hide. You see other families beginning to stir. The children wake first, drawn by the warmth of the growing fire. A young girl, perhaps 7 years old, approaches the fire. Her name is Sigrid, and she carries a small wooden bowl filled with pine nuts gathered during the autumn months. The nuts are rich in oils, providing essential calories for growing bodies during the harsh winter. Sigrid settles beside the fire, cracking the nuts with a small stone. The sound is gentle, rhythmic, like a soft percussion, accompanying the crackling flames. She eats slowly, savoring each nut, knowing that food must be carefully rationed until spring returns. The Vikings were skilled at preserving food for the winter months. They smoked fish over slow fires of juniper wood. The smoke not only preserved the meat, but added a distinctive flavor that made the monotonous winter diet more appealing. You watch as Astrid rises from her sleeping area and begins to prepare the morning meal. She moves to a wooden chest carved with intricate designs and removes a handful of dried berries, lingonberries, cloudberries, and bilberries gathered during the brief Arctic summer. These berries are incredibly important for winter survival. They contain vitamin C, which prevents scurvy, a disease that could devastate a community. During the long months without fresh food, the Vikings learned that eating these preserved berries kept their people healthy through the darkest season. Astrid adds the berries to a pot of water, creating a warm drink that tastes of summer, of sunshine, of the brief season. When the tundra bloomed with millions of flowers, the drink is sweet and warming, providing both hydration and essential nutrients. The pot hangs from an iron chain suspended over the fire. The chain can be adjusted to control the cooking temperature, raising the pot for gentle simmering, or lowering it for rapid boiling. This simple technology represents generations of accumulated knowledge about cooking over open flames. As the drink warms, steam rises, carrying the scent of summer berries throughout the longhouse. The aroma awakens more sleepers who emerge from their warm nests of furs and wool, drawn by the promise of hot food and drink. You notice how the Vikings share everything. The berry drink is ladled into wooden cups and passed from hand to hand. Children receive their portions first, followed by the elderly, then the adults. This sharing ensures that everyone receives adequate nutrition during the harsh winter months. The wooden cups are carved from birch burls. The wood is incredibly hard and water-resistant. Each cup is slightly different, bearing the individual marks of its maker. Some are decorated with simple patterns carved around the rim. Others are plain, focusing purely on function. As you sip the warm berry drink, you feel the vitamins and natural sugars beginning to energize your body. The warmth spreads from your stomach throughout your limbs. The Vikings understood that starting the day with warm food was essential for maintaining body heat in the cold climate. The fire burns steadily, now casting dancing shadows on the carved wooden posts that support the roof. The posts are decorated with images of dragons and serpents, protective symbols that guard the home against evil spirits and harsh weather. Children begin to gather around the fire, their faces bright in the golden light. They bring small pieces of wood to add to the flames, contributing to the communal effort of keeping the fire alive. Even the youngest understand their role in the family's survival. The sound of the fire is hypnotic, a gentle crackling, punctuated by the occasional pop of escaping sap. The flames dance in ever-changing patterns, mesmerizing and deeply calming. The Vikings spent countless hours watching the fire, finding peace in its constant movement. You feel your breathing becoming slower, deeper. The warmth of the fire, combined with the gentle sounds of the awakening household, creates a sense of deep security, of belonging to this ancient community of survivors. Olaf continues to tend the fire, adding wood with practiced precision. His movements are almost ritualistic, a sacred dance between human and flame that has been performed for thousands of years in countless northern homes. The morning light grows stronger, filtering through the hide-covered windows. But the fire remains, the heart of the longhouse, the source of warmth and life and community. During the darkest months, when the sun barely rises, the fire becomes the community's sun, their source of light and heat. You settle back against the warm wall, feeling the ancient rhythms of winter survival, the careful tending of the fire, the sharing of food, the quiet conversations, the gentle movements of people conserving energy for the long, cold season ahead. Your eyelids begin to grow heavy as the warmth and the hypnotic sound of the flames work their magic. The fire burns on, steady and eternal, a symbol of human endurance and the will to survive, even in the harshest conditions. The gentle crackling grows softer, more distant, as you drift toward sleep. The fire keeper continues his vigil, ensuring that the sacred flames will burn through another night, bringing warmth and comfort to all who shelter in its golden light. Your breathing deepens, and the sounds of the longhouse fade into whispers. The fire glows softly, like a guardian star, watching over the sleeping community. You drift into a deep, restful sleep, warmed by the ancient fire that has burned in the hearts of survivors for countless generations. Chapter 3: The Wisdom of Winter Preparations. You wake to the soft sound of grinding grain. The steady rhythm of stone against stone creates a peaceful pulse that echoes gently through the longhouse. The morning fire burns bright and warm, casting golden light across the faces of the Viking families beginning their day. An elderly woman named Ingrid sits beside a large stone quern. Her weathered hands guide the heavy stone as it crushes dried barley into flour. The grain was harvested during the brief summer when the midnight sun allowed crops to ripen quickly in the short growing season. You approach quietly, and Ingrid looks up with kind eyes that have seen many winters. She gestures for you to sit beside her on the smooth wooden bench, worn soft by countless hands and years of use. "Come," she says softly. "Let me show you how we prepare the gifts of summer for the long darkness." You settle beside her, feeling the warmth of the fire on your back. The grinding stone continues its rhythmic motion, crushing the hardy grains that will sustain the community through the coldest months. The sound is meditative, almost musical, a gentle percussion that speaks of preparation and foresight. Ingrid shows you baskets woven from birch bark, filled with carefully preserved foods. Each basket represents months of careful work during the brief but intense Arctic summer, when every day of good weather was precious. The first basket contains dried fish, split and salted, then hung on wooden racks called hjell. The fish were caught during the autumn runs, when cod and other species moved close to the shore. The Vikings developed sophisticated methods for preserving these protein sources through the winter. "The fish teach us patience," Ingrid explains. "They come when they come. We must be ready to take advantage of their gifts when they appear." You examine the dried fish, marveling at how well preserved they appear. The Vikings learned to split the fish in precisely the right way, allowing air to circulate while preventing spoilage. The process required deep knowledge of weather patterns and timing. The second basket holds dried berries, lingonberries, red color, still bright even after months of storage. These berries contain natural preservatives that prevent decay and essential vitamins that prevent winter illnesses. The Vikings understood their importance long before modern science explained why. Cloudberries, pale orange and incredibly nutritious, fill another section of the basket. These berries grow only in the Arctic tundra, ripening during the brief summer when the sun barely sets. Each berry is precious, containing concentrated nutrition for the harsh months ahead. Ingrid reaches into a third basket and shows you carefully dried strips of meat. The meat comes from reindeer hunted during the autumn migration when the herds moved south for the winter. The Vikings developed techniques for preserving this vital protein source through smoking and drying. The meat is cut into thin strips and hung over slow fires of juniper wood. The smoke not only preserves the meat, but adds a distinctive flavor that makes the winter diet more palatable. The process takes several days, requiring constant attention to maintain the proper temperature. Every piece of food is precious, Ingrid explains. We waste nothing, use everything. The bones become tools, the hides become clothing, the fat becomes fuel for our lamps. You watch as she demonstrates the grinding process. The barley must be ground to just the right consistency. Too fine, and it becomes difficult to cook. Too coarse, and it won't provide proper nutrition. The stone quern allows precise control over the grinding process. The flour that results is pale and nutritious, containing the essential carbohydrates that fuel the human body through the energy-demanding winter months. The Vikings learned to carefully ration this precious resource, ensuring that supplies lasted until spring. As Ingrid works, other women join the preparation activities. Each has her own specialty, her own traditional knowledge, passed down through generations of survival in the harsh northern climate. One woman named Gudrun shows you how to prepare pine needles for winter use. The needles are rich in vitamin C and can be brewed into a tea that prevents scurvy during the long months without fresh vegetables. The Vikings discovered this through centuries of trial and error. Gudrun carefully strips the needles from pine branches, gathered during the autumn months. The needles are then dried and stored in sealed containers made from birch bark. The containers are waterproof and airtight, preserving the essential nutrients through the winter. The trees are our friends, Gudrun explains. They give us wood for fire, bark for containers, needles for medicine. We take only what we need, and always with gratitude. You notice how the Vikings use every part of everything. Nothing is wasted in a society where waste can mean the difference between survival and starvation. The efficiency of their resource use is remarkable and deeply respectful of nature's gifts. Another woman, named Fira, demonstrates the art of preparing tallow from animal fat. The fat is rendered slowly over low heat, creating a clean burning fuel for the small stone lamps that provide additional light during the darkest months. The lamps are simple but ingenious. Carved from soapstone, they burn the rendered fat with wicks made from twisted moss or linen. The light is soft and warm, extending the usable hours of each day during the polar night. Thyra shows you how to prepare the wicks, rolling dried moss between her palms until it forms a tight cord that will burn slowly and steadily. The moss is gathered during the summer from the wetlands, where it grows in abundance. Light is life, Fira explains. During the darkest days when the sun doesn't rise, these small flames remind us that spring will return, that light will return. You watch as she tends a small lamp. The flame dances gently, casting moving shadows on the wooden walls. The light is warm and comforting, a human-made star, bringing hope to the long darkness. The children help with the simpler tasks, gathering dried grasses, for bedding, sorting berries, removing any spoiled fruit that might contaminate the stored food. Even the youngest understand their role in the family's survival strategy. A young boy named Bjorn shows you his collection of carved wooden bowls. Each bowl is slightly different, reflecting his growing skill as a woodcarver. The bowls will be used throughout the winter for eating and drinking and food preparation. Bjorn works slowly, carefully, each cut deliberate and precise. He uses a sharp knife made from carefully forged iron. The blade is kept razor sharp for safety and efficiency. Dull tools are dangerous tools in the harsh environment. My grandfather taught me, Bjorn explains. His grandfather taught him. The knowledge passes from hand to hand, generation to generation. This is how we survive. You feel the deep wisdom in these simple preparations. Each task performed with centuries of accumulated knowledge. Each movement refined through generations of practice and survival in one of the world's harshest climates. The afternoon light begins to fade, but the work continues. The Vikings understand that winter preparation is a race against time. Every day of good weather must be used to maximum advantage. Laziness or delay can mean death. Yet despite the serious nature of their work, there is a peaceful quality to the preparations. The rhythmic motions, the quiet conversations, the shared purpose create a sense of deep contentment, of a community working together towards survival. As evening approaches, the preparations gradually wind down. The day's work is stored carefully in the designated areas of the longhouse. Everything has its place, its purpose, its role in the complex system of winter survival. You settle back against the warm wall, feeling the satisfaction of a day well spent. The fire burns steadily, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The longhouse is filled with the quiet sounds of a community at peace with their preparations. Your breathing becomes deeper, more relaxed. The ancient rhythms of seasonal preparation work their magic on your tired body. The wisdom of generations surrounds you like a warm blanket of accumulated knowledge and survival skills. The fire burns lower, casting longer shadows, but the warmth continues to radiate throughout the longhouse. The preparations are complete. The community is ready for whatever the winter may bring. Your eyelids grow heavy as the peaceful sounds of the settling longhouse fade into whispers. The ancient wisdom of winter preparation flows through your consciousness like a gentle stream, carrying you towards sleep. You drift into a deep, restful sleep, surrounded by the accumulated wisdom of countless generations who learned to thrive in the harshest conditions through cooperation, preparation, and respect for nature's cycles. Chapter 4. The deep sleep of winter solstice. You wake to the softest of sounds, the gentle breathing of a community. At complete rest, the longhouse is darker now, lit only by the glowing embers of the carefully banked fire. Outside, the longest night of the year has settled over the land like a soft, dark blanket. The winter solstice has arrived. The Vikings call this time Joel, a sacred season when the darkness reaches its deepest point and the promise of returning light begins to stir in the earth. It is a time for rest, for reflection, for the deep sleep that prepares the body and spirit for the challenging months still ahead. You notice how still everything has become. The usual sounds of daily activity have faded to whispers. People move like gentle shadows, conserving energy for the long, cold journey toward spring. The longhouse breathes quietly like a sleeping giant, sheltering its people through the darkest time. An ancient woman, older than anyone you've seen, sits beside the glowing coals. Her name is Ragnhild, and she has survived more than 70 winters in this harsh land. Her eyes hold the wisdom of countless dark seasons, countless returns of light. She beckons with a gesture so subtle you almost miss it. You rise carefully and move like a whisper across the wooden floor to sit beside her on the smooth, well-worn bench. The wood is warm from the fire and from the countless bodies that have rested here through the generations. Come, she whispers, so softly, her voice barely disturbs the peaceful air. Let me tell you the deep secrets of winter rest, the wisdom of the longest night. You settle beside her, feeling the ancient warmth radiating from the banked coals. The fire burns so low, it's almost not there, just a gentle glow, like the memory of summer sun, kept alive through the darkest time. The heat is subtle but constant, warming the space without disturbing the deep peace. Ragnald shows you how the Vikings arrange themselves for the deepest rest. The sleeping areas are layered with extra furs during the solstice, creating cocoons of warmth that allow the body to enter the deepest, most restorative sleep. The sleep that heals and renews and prepares for survival. In the deepest dark, she whispers, we sleep the deepest sleep. Our bodies know the ancient rhythms. They slow, they rest, they gather strength for the return of light. You watch as families settle into their winter nests. Children disappear completely beneath layers of soft reindeer hide and wool. Their breathing becomes so slow, so deep, they seem to enter a kind of hibernation, their bodies instinctively conserving energy for the long, cold months ahead. The adults arrange themselves with practiced efficiency. Husbands and wives sleep close together, sharing body heat in the most efficient distribution of warmth. The elderly are surrounded by the younger family members, ensuring that those most vulnerable to cold receive the most protection. You notice how the Vikings use their breath to create additional warmth. They breathe slowly, deeply into the fur cocoons, warming the air inside their deep sleeping spaces. The technique is simple but effective, creating microclimates of warmth within the larger space of the longhouse. Ragnhild demonstrates the ancient breathing technique passed down through generations of survivors. She breathes slowly in through her nose, warming the air in her nasal passages, then exhales slowly through slightly parted lips. The warm breath creates a gentle current of heated air within her sleeping space. The breath is life, she whispers. In winter, we breathe life into the cold. We warm the air we breathe, and the air warms us. It is the circle of survival. You practice the technique, feeling how the slow, deliberate breathing creates a sense of inner warmth that spreads throughout your body. The Vikings understood that the mind and body working together could generate enough heat to survive even the coldest nights. The longhouse settles deeper into its winter rhythm. The sounds become even softer, gentle breathing, the occasional soft whisper of wind through the roof timbers, the almost inaudible settling of the wooden structure as it contracts in the cold. You can feel the deep peace that comes with complete acceptance of the season. The Vikings don't fight the winter. They embrace it. They work with it. They find their own deep rhythms that match the rhythms of the sleeping earth. Ragnhild reaches into a small wooden chest and removes a handful of dried chamomile flowers. The flowers were gathered during the brief summer when the meadows bloomed with wild herbs. Now they carry the essence of that gentle season into the deepest winter. She sprinkles the flowers into a small wooden bowl of warm water. The scent rises like a gentle summer breeze, carrying the memory of sunshine and warmth into the dark winter night. The chamomile has natural calming properties that help the body enter deeper states of rest. The Vikings discovered through centuries of observation that certain plants could ease the transition into sleep during the stress of winter survival. The plants remember the sun, Ragnhild whispers. Even in the darkest time, they carry light within them. When we breathe their essence, we remember the light too. You breathe the gentle herbal scent, feeling how it seems to slow your heartbeat, to deepen your breathing, to ease the subtle tensions in your muscles. The Vikings understood that true winter survival required not just physical warmth, but emotional and spiritual peace. The chamomile steam mingles with the wood smoke from the dying fire, creating an atmosphere of such deep tranquility that you feel your consciousness beginning to drift toward the peaceful borderland between waking and sleep. Around you, the longhouse has become a sanctuary of rest. The families have settled into their deepest winter sleep, their breathing so slow and rhythmic, it sounds like the gentle lapping of waves against a distant shore. You notice how the Vikings position their bodies for maximum warmth and comfort. They lie on their sides in the fetal position that minimizes heat loss and maximizes the warming effect of the layered furs and woolen blankets. The children sleep in the center of family groups, surrounded by the warmth of their parents and siblings. This arrangement ensures that the most vulnerable members of the community receive the most protection from the bitter cold. Ragnhild shows you how to arrange the sleeping furs for maximum insulation. The bottom layer is made of thick reindeer hide, with the fur facing down toward the wooden sleeping platform. This creates an insulating barrier between the sleeper and the cold wood. The middle layer consists of softer sheep or goat hides, with the fur facing up toward the body. This layer provides both warmth and comfort, creating a soft nest that cradles the sleeping person in natural warmth. The top layer is made of the finest and warmest furs available. Wolf pelts, bear hides, or the incredibly warm fur of the Arctic fox. This outer layer traps the sleeper's body heat, creating a cocoon of warmth that can maintain comfortable temperatures even when the air in the longhouse drops below freezing. The animals give us their warmth, Ragnhild explains. In return, we honor them. We waste nothing. We use every part with gratitude. This is the old way, the way of respect and survival. You settle into your own sleeping space, feeling the incredible softness and warmth of the carefully arranged animal furs. The layers seem to embrace you like the loving arms of the natural world, protecting you from the harsh elements. The temperature in the longhouse has dropped as the fire burns lower, but the sleeping arrangements are so effective that you feel perfectly comfortable, even as your breath begins to form small clouds in the cooling air. You can hear the wind outside moving through the bare branches of the surrounding forest, but the sound is distant and soothing, like a gentle lullaby. The thick walls of the lawn house and the layers of insulation keep the fierce Arctic wind at bay. Ragnhild begins to hum softly an ancient Viking lullaby. The melody is simple and haunting, a wordless song that seems to carry the essence of all the mothers who have sung their children to sleep. During countless winter nights, the humming mingles with the soft sounds of the settling longhouse, creating a symphony of peace that seems to slow time itself. You feel your consciousness becoming lighter, more ethereal, as if you're floating on the gentle currents of ancient melodies. Other voices join the humming so softly that you're not sure if you're hearing them or dreaming them. The sound creates a web of comfort that embraces everyone in the longhouse, binding the community together in shared peace. The fire burns so low now that only the faintest glow remains visible in the ash-covered coals. But the warmth continues to radiate from the stone-lined hearth and from the thermal mass of the wooden walls that have absorbed heat throughout the day. You notice how your breathing has synchronized with the breathing of the other sleepers. The entire longhouse seems to breathe together like a single range, living organism, inhaling and exhaling in the ancient rhythm of collective survival. The darkness outside is complete now. The winter solstice has brought the deepest night of the year. But inside the longhouse, there is only peace and warmth, and the gentle sounds of a community at rest. Your body begins to enter the deepest phases of sleep. The Vikings understood that winter was a time for profound rest, for allowing the body to slow its metabolism and conserve energy for the challenging months ahead. You feel your muscles relaxing completely as the warmth of the furs penetrates deeper into your tired body. The stress of survival melts away, replaced by the deep contentment that comes from being completely safe and warm. The ancient rhythms of winter work their magic on your consciousness. You feel connected to countless generations of humans who have survived the harshest conditions through cooperation, preparation, and the profound wisdom of knowing when to rest. Outside, the longest night continues, but inside, there is only the gentle breathing of peaceful sleep. The Vikings have survived another day in their endless battle against the cold. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight there is only rest. Your consciousness drifts deeper into the ancient rhythms of winter sleep. You are warm. You are safe. You are part of the eternal cycle of survival and renewal. The darkness outside holds the promise of returning light. Your eyelids grow heavy as the last conscious thoughts fade into the peaceful darkness of deep sleep. The longhouse breathes quietly around you, a living shelter that has protected generations of families through countless winter nights. You drift into the deepest, most restorative sleep, warmed by ancient wisdom, surrounded by the gentle spirits of survival and endurance. The fire glows softly like a guardian star watching over your dreams. And in your dreams, you see the first faint promise of spring, still months away, but certain as the turning of the seasons. The Vikings sleep and dream of the return, of light, of warmth, of the eternal cycle that brings hope to even the darkest night. You drift into a deep, restful sleep, carried by the ancient rhythms of winter, survival. The longhouse settles into peaceful silence, and the long Arctic night embraces all in its gentle, protective darkness.